So this is the fifth lecture sessions on the value engineering and the stores management. And if you remember, in the last lecture session we have referred to the inventory valuation, and primarily the inventory valuation is the responsibility of the stores management. And what we have mentioned that that inventory valuation, for inventory valuation certain accounting method you have to follow, and not a single method, is just that one single method you follow for inventory valuation. And but the key question is why valuation of inventory is a critical issue. If you remember that the inventory management system is assessed with respect to the several performance measures, and these assessment you need to do at any point in time. So there are three important out of many possible measures. So the three important performance measures we always refer to. The first one is at any point in time, what is the amount of understock? At the same point in time, what is the amount of say the overstock for certain other items? Item wise you can have this information. And the third one is very important. That means overall at this point in time, what is the inventory investment? And obviously the inventory investment becomes a function of time. So, and usually all these values are given in monetary terms. So how do you get these values in monetary terms? Obviously you need to follow certain valuation method, and so right now we are discussing those valuation methods. Okay, any company you name, it must follow, say must follow a particular valuation method, and this is statutory, and this is obligatory on the part of the management to use a particular method or to select a particular method the most scientifically. So depending on the kind of items or the kind of the consumption patterns you have, the kinds of use you have, so you may select a particular method for evaluation. So during this the lecture sessions, I will be referring to in the inventory valuation, and what are the main methods you may use. So I will discuss first in first out method, last in first out method for inventory valuation. I will discuss the average cost method, and I will also discuss the specific cost method. These are the four types of methods normally recommended for inventory valuation. And then we will discuss a few numerical examples. Now there are four possible inventory flow methods. So essentially you are tracking the flow of the materials. So that's why this inventory valuation method is also referred to as inventory flow methods. So the first one is first in first out, the second one is the last in first out, third one is the average cost, and the fourth one is the specific cost. So what is this first method called FIFO, or first in first out method? It's very simple. It's most widely used inventory flow method. That is point number one. Point number two is, it is assumed that the materials are issued from the oldest supply in stock, and units issued are valued at the oldest cost. What is the first in first out? That means the items which are considered the oldest supply, so they are to be used first. Okay, this is the consideration here. It is a very simple procedure. So, when you take up one example, so you will come to know how simple it is. Applicable for both perpetual and periodic systems. What are these? These are two inventory control systems. So, the perpetual or so the continuous review system is also known as the queue systems of inventory control, and periodic review system is also referred to as the P systems of inventory control. You are aware of modeling of these two kinds of inventory control systems. Now, let us first take one numerical example, two numerical examples related to first in first out method. The periodic inventory record shown in table is available on an item. A physical count of the items on 1st April reveals an ending inventory of 300 units. What is the value of the ending inventory? What is the cost of goods sold for the period? So, that means these 300 units are the physical units. So, what you need to do? You need to determine the value of this 300 units. So, while you determine the value of these 300 units, you need to select a particular unit price. So, what is the basis of selecting this unit price? That is the question to be answered, and while you answer to these questions, you apply the first in first out method. So, the 1st January beginning inventory is 200 units, unit price is 1. So, the total cost is 200. 31st January, after 1 month, you again take stock of the situation. You find that the total purchase is 300 units and with a price of 1.10. That means the total is 330. Okay. And then again after 1 month on 28th February, again the purchase amount is 400 units with a price of 1.16 per unit. So, the total will be 400 into 1.16, that is the total cost in monetary terms, that is 464. And similarly, after 1 month on 31st March, you have this purchase amount of 100 units and corresponding price is 1.26. That means, as the time passes, what happens, that unit price also changing. Is it okay? So, this value is 126. So, on 31st March, you have calculated, that is the total value of the stock is 1120, and that is on 1st April, that means the next day, 1st April, the early morning, this is the stock value. Now, what you find, that an ending inventory of 300 units you have, okay, on the 1st of April. So, what is this monetary value? So, what you have over here, that means 300, and the total amount you have received, that is 1000. That means 700 units you have consumed during this 3 months period. So, out of these 700 units, the first 200 units, that means the earliest stock, you charge with rupee 1, that is 200. Next is 300 stocks, this arrived the next time with a price of 1.10. So, that is 330, and then you just take 200 units out of the remaining stock and its price is 1.16. So, that is 232. If you add all these three values, you get a value of 762 for 700 units. So, the ending inventory will be, say, the 200 over here and 100 for the March purchases. So, this will be charged at 1.16, the remaining 200 out of 400 you have, and this is 100 already arrived and it will be charged at 1.26. So, it is 126 and this is 232, that is 352. So, the ending inventory will be rupees 358. So, the cost of goods sold with FIFO is rupees 762, already you have computed, you know the procedures, and the value of ending inventory is 1120 minus 762, that is rupees 358 for 300 units. Is it okay? So, these are the two parameters you need to calculate, the value of which you need to calculate. One is the ending inventory at a particular point in time on a particular day, as well as the cost of goods sold. So, this is the second example. Now, here what you find that the following data shows the same inventory as in example 1. That means you refer to the same table, but records it in a perpetual inventory. Okay. So, now we are moving from say the periodic to perpetual record. What are the values of ending inventory and the cost of goods sold? So, here these transactions you note down all these transactions. That means there are 3 columns we have. One is the received column, again is the issued column, and then you have the balance one. So, on 1st January this is your starting inventory. That means you have a balance amount of 200 units, and the corresponding the price unit price is 1, and the total cost is 200. Okay. Now, on 31st January you have purchased 300 units with a price of 101.1 per unit. So, the total cost is 330. So, this cost is added, that means it becomes 200 to plus say 330. On 1st February there is some issued amount of 200 units. Okay. So, the 200 units are issued with a price of 1, that is the oldest price. So, the 200 units and the 200 units with a price of say 1.1. Okay. So, that means 220. Now, you have so out of 300 you have the issued 200 units. So, you have the remaining 100 units, and so how do you get the total cost for the remaining units, that is 100 units, that is 100 into 1.10, okay, that is 110. So, again you received 400 units, the unit price is 1.16. So, the total value is 464. So, already you have 100 units, now you add 400 units with its value of 464. Is it okay? So, everywhere you apply the FIFO method, and similarly you consider the issued amounts. That means you are issuing 300 units over here, that means 100 units from this stock, you exhaust this stock with a price of 1.10, and the remaining 200 units you get it from this stock with price charged at 1.16. So, these two are calculated separately, 110 and 232, and so the remaining amount will be obviously the balance amount will be 200 from here, and it will be charged, the price is 1.16, that is the latest price, and so the amount so the balance is 232. So, similarly on 31st March you are receiving 100 units with a price of 1.26. So, the cost is 126. So, now what you do, you have 200 units, you add 100 units over here with a value of 126. So, this is basically the perpetual inventory record. Is it okay? So, so all the points are made very clear. So, I do not think there will be any doubt on this. So, here the cost of goods sold for the quarter under the perpetual system, quarter means 3 months, we are considering 3 months. So, this value is rupees 762, and the value of ending inventory is 358. Now, if you opt for last in first out method, okay, so there are certain points you should keep in mind. That is, the LIFO assumes that the most current cost of goods should be charged to the cost of goods sold. That is why it is referred to as the last in first out. Cost of units remaining in inventory represents the oldest cost available. This is just the opposite to the FIFO method. Units issued are valued at the latest cost available, matching current revenue with the current cost. It can be used for both perpetual and periodic inventory control systems. So, this is the numerical example, and again what you need to do, you find say you need to calculate the ending inventory value of ending inventory on 1st of April. Almost the same set of data, Okay. Now, the beginning inventory, then these are the purchase amounts, okay. And once a month you record these values. That's why it is a periodic review system. So, you have this data with you. So, again you need to determine the value of the ending inventory on 1st of April and what is the cost of goods sold for the period, for the entire period. This period is 1 quarter, that is 3 months. So, what you try to do, that means the unit sold is 100, then 400 and then 200. This is just in the reverse direction. So, the 100 units you have received just now with a price of say 1.26. So, this is charged 126. Then the next amount is 400, and because the 700 units you need to you have consumed, and that is why you are remaining with the 300 units on 1st of April. So, the first stock is exhausted, the latest one. Next you exhaust the next stock of 400 units, and the value is 464, and then the remaining amount is 200 units, because the total amount that you have consumed, that is 700. So, 100. So, this price is the oldest price, that is 1.10, that is 220. That means the total value is 810. So, ending inventory now we can calculate. That means here the 200 units remaining with 100, that is the oldest stock, and the next oldest stock you keep, that is 101, that is the price is 1.10, that is 110, that is the value. So, the total value is 310. So, the cost of goods sold with LIFO is 810, okay. You refer to this value, and the value of inventory, ending inventory on 1st of April is rupees say 310 for 300 units. So, this is another example, numerical example. Now, here the following table shows the same inventory as in example 3. So, you refer to the same table, but records it in a perpetual inventory record. What are the values of ending inventory and the cost of goods sold? So, here so again you have all these details, okay. Like this is the balance amount, okay. So, the 1st of January, then the 31st January you have these receipts. So, you calculate the total balance, okay, and the latest say the value you consider, that is 1.10, okay, along with the 200. Then on 1st February you have some issued amount, okay. So, 300 with the latest one, latest price, and the remaining 100 with the price of 1. That means 400 units you are issued, okay. And then you are getting a receipt amounts of 400 units on 20th February, and then the balance amount changes to 100 plus 464, and then again on 1st of March you have 300 units issued, and so the latest price is 1.16 per unit. So, that you consider to get the total cost, and the remaining amount will be, so the 100 with the oldest price, that is 1, and the remaining 100 with the next oldest price, that is 1.16, which is available. 1.10 is not available. So, the latest one is 1.16, that is why it is charged with 1.16 unit price. So, the total the balance you calculate, and again when you received an amount of 100 units. So, again 100 units are added with the latest unit price of 1.26. So, the total you add and you have this balance. So, the cost of goods sold for the quarter under the perpetual system is rupees 778. So, this is the breakup, and the value of so the ending inventory is rupees 342, and so you get this one like So how do you get 342? First you get 100 and then 116 and then the third term is 126 for 300 units. So I think that you have clearly understood that what is the FIFO method, what is say the LIFO method, and for both the cases if you apply say the periodic the review systems, as well as, or if you apply say the perpetual review systems. So how do you calculate the ending inventory on a particular day, and how do you calculate the cost of goods sold for the period considered. Now what is the average cost method? In this method, the average cost for each item during a time period is determined, and the inventory valuation is done based on average cost. Okay, so the time period is to be specified, and so there are three types of averages, as you may be aware of. One is the simple average, the second one is the weighted average. That means here the weightage is basically the quantity for the item at a particular price. So that quantity when you consider, then in order to calculate the average price, then it is referred to as the weighted average, and the last one is the moving average. So since simple or weighted average cannot be calculated until the period is over, so this point is to be noted, they are not well suited to perpetual inventory system. Okay, so this point you must note down. All are suitable for periodic inventory systems, because as soon as you say that it is based on the average cost, that means the time period is to be known. So it just cannot be at any period of time. Is it okay? Instant of time. So it is essentially a method applicable for the period of time, not instant of time. So that's why it is applicable not for the perpetual inventory control systems, but it is applicable for the periodic review system. However, moving average method requires computerized inventory operations. Okay, so this is a must when you deal with say the large number of inventory items. Now we are referring to one more example. The periodic inventory record shown in table is available on an item. A physical count of the item on 1st April reveals an inventory of 300 units. Same data you have like you had in the previous the two cases. What are the values of the ending inventory and the cost of goods sold using simple average, weighted average, and the moving average? So these are the transactions you have. So the types of transactions are mentioned, units are mentioned, unit price is mentioned, and the total cost is also mentioned in this table. So if you apply simple average, what you try to do, you have all these four unit prices, unit price, that is 1, 1.1, 1.16, 1.26. So simple average divided by 4, so you get an average value of 1.13 unit cost. Ending inventory value, ending inventory into unit cost, 300 into 1.13, it is very simple, that is 339, and the cost of goods sold, that means unit issued, that is 700 into 1.13, 791. What is the weighted average? Weighted average, actually unit price is to be weighted with the number of units in respect of that particular unit price. So 1 into 200 plus 1.10 into 300 plus 1.16 into 400 and 1.26 with into 100 divided by 200 plus 300 plus 400 plus 100, that is 1000. So this is weighted average. So the value the weighted average value is 1.12 unit cost. So what are the remaining steps are very simple. Ending inventory value is 300 into 1.12, 336, and the cost of goods sold is 700, into 1.12, that is 784. So, again this is the solution. So, if you apply the moving average, so the technique, that means the moving average for each addition to stock is obtained by summing the total cost column and dividing by the number of units. The moving average for the period is the last moving average, which is rupees 1.12. Okay. So, this we have already calculated. That means, here the moving average, this is 1. For the next period, for 1 month, it is 1.1 plus 1, that is 1.06. Okay. And this one is, again you add this. So, this is 1.10, and this is one period, this is 1.26. So, this becomes for this period, for this month, and this one is 1.12. So, the ending inventory you calculate as 336, and the cost of goods sold you calculated as 784. So, when you opt for the specific cost method, so we conclude these lecture sessions by referring to the specific cost method. Now, this method provides the most realistic realistic valuation of ending inventory and the cost of goods sold. Okay. And with this method, it is assumed that the cost flow and physical flow of material are same. So, that it should be. So, if you have the data, and if you and if you analyze your systems in such a way that a perfect system for evaluation of say the flow of materials as well as the evaluation of flow of cost, the two systems are there, then only you say that you are following or you are using a specific cost method. So, it is used for valuation of inventory items used for custom made products in job shops, and its use is restricted to small operations. And now, what is the concluding remarks that you can make? No single method for inventory costing or valuation may be considered best in all situations. That is the one remark you must remember. The best method depends on the nature and objectives of an organization, and the method should be practical, reliable, and easy to use. Now, when you compare between, just one point I should highlight, that is, when you compare between the FIFO and LIFO method, you might have noticed that the FIFO method is essentially it's a conservative estimate. You will get conservative estimate, whereas if you apply say the LIFO method, this is it may lead to over evaluation. That means, there are two kinds of situations: under valuation or over valuation. So, there is a risk of under valuation if you apply say the FIFO method, but there is also could be a risk of over valuation if you go for the LIFO method. Now, the choice is yours. If you feel that the FIFO method or say LIFO method, or for any the method, the difference between say the flow of the materials and the flow of cost is minimum. So, you can continue with that particular method. So, thank you, and I conclude this particular say the topic, and essentially we are referring to both value engineering as well as the stores management, and so the value engineering details are known to you, as well as the details of the inventory valuation, that is also elaborated. And in course of time, when you get the numerical problems or the problems of the different types in the field of inventory management, so definitely you feel like so applying all these tools and techniques. Thank you.